The disciples of Nancy Pelosi have a brand new sacrament. Do you know what a sacrament is? Religiously speaking, from a Christian perspective, we look at taking communion as a sacrament. It's a way to honor. It's a representation of the blood and body of Christ Jesus. Marriage is a sacrament. It's something that God gives us as a gift. It's something for which we care. It's something we tend to, something that we seek to feed, to honor. And the disciples of Nancy Pelosi have created a brand new sacrament. Now, they've got a lot of sacraments. They've got a lot of inverse, anti-Christian sacraments. The being born in a new body thing. This is an inverse baptism. And if you look at this from a Christian perspective, that's exactly what it is. A child who becomes gender confused or gender defiant, gender rebellious, is told by people who are further down into that lie that you are born again. They literally say those words, you've been born again. You're a new being made in your own image, and now you can be made into the image of pharma, etc. It is an inverse, perverse turn on being born again through the blood of Christ. It's not an accidental thing. They set this up in a religious way, with religious feel to it, with religious zeal, with cult-like zeal. A friend of my wife's the other day got the letter. She got the letter from her so-called trans-identifying kid. The therapist said, I'm not to talk to you. A therapist said to a child, I want you to send a letter to your mom who will not pretend you're the opposite sex and say, I am cutting off all contact with you. That's a therapist, because the healthy thing is to cut that off. That's a sacrament. Now, it's an inverse sacrament. It's inverse to God. It's upside down. It is, in fact, something that God could never bless. It is therefore satanic to encourage this separation between families. And I know I'll hear people say, well, wait. Didn't, quote, your Jesus say, if you don't hate your mother and father, you're not worthy of me? Yeah, he was speaking in comparison sense. He didn't mean carrying around hate in your heart for your mother and father. He was talking about in comparison to the love you have for me, it should almost feel like hate of the world. But this new sacrament is both tragic and it's funny, and things can be tragic comedies. I'll talk about this in a second. Do not become victimized by a tragic comedy. If, God forbid, you get sued, if your business gets sued, please do not be one of those people whose lawyer comes back and says, hey, I have some really bad news. In regard to your corporation and your LLC, you actually don't have the corporate veil. And if their attorneys figure this out, if they figure out that your founding paperwork, even if it's 10 years ago, it did not provide the corporate veil, they can go after your 401k or your house, your retirement savings, your checking account, your cars, any asset. Don't be part of this tragic comedy. I don't care how long the business has existed. I don't care if it's a tax accountant who set it up. A lot of times people do not have the corporate veil. My friends at Visible will tell you. Just click over to their website, govisible.com. That's G-O, and then with a Z, Visible. They'll tell you if I've had that corporate veil, and if you don't, they'll solve it for you in 7 easy steps. Govisible.com. When President Trump and RFK Jr. came out and talked about acetaminophen and it being one of the possible causes for autism, there were some things they could have ran on the screen. I wish they'd done that. For instance, it used to be that this was listed as a side effect with this drug, and that's been taken down. They renamed it. Or they could have done this. They could have talked about the fact that you could just go to the Google machine, which is a great big friend of pharma, and it could have just asked the Google machine a question. My wife had me do this. Acetaminophen deaths per year. Oh, look, approximately 500 people die each year in the United States from acetaminophen. Leading causes of liver failure, liver damage, liver transplants, high mortality rate. If acute liver failure develops, mortality rate can increase to 28%. Hospital visits. Annually, acetaminophen toxicity leads to about 56,000 emergency department visits and 2,600 hospitalizations. Intentional versus unintentional overdoses. So this is a dangerous drug that the makers at one time had listed as a possible side effect, autism, and then they changed that to something less scary. So what have they done? Don't take it if you're pregnant. Talk to your doctor. Make sure that your doctor mentions the risk. And if you can avoid it, do not do it. It shouldn't be taken unless it's an emergency, unless you have an especially high fever that is threatening your life or the life of you and your child. In that case, okay, maybe then the risk-reward ratio is okay. And now we have this. The derangement of Trump derangement syndrome, the disciples of Nancy Pelosi, so deranged that they said, you will pry my Tylenol from my cold, dead lips. People went out and filmed videos like this, celebrating the Tylenol they're going to take. Here's me, pregnant woman, taking Tylenol because I believe in science and not someone who has no medical background. And that young woman is dancing in the video, taking Tylenol. I'll take your poison. That's my special poison because Orange Man Bad said not to do that. And I tell you, we live in a society where your mom used to say, hey, if Timmy stuck his fork into a wall outlet or put his arm into a fire, would you do the same thing? Well, no. What if Trump told you not to? Not only would I do it, I'd do it all day long. I'm going to roll it and bathe in Tylenol. These are the disciples of Nancy Pelosi. Pause. All right, this one, I got to make sure I change my tone a little bit because it's for Disciples View. Okay, here we go.